The genius way to kill your belly fat. I'm going to show you how to be able to do this in 5 simple steps using the science. My name is Dr. Michael Diamonds. I am a medical doctor. I'm also a scientist. I majored in biochemistry and microbiology. So not only do I understand the body at a physiological level in practice, but I also understand the molecular changes happening in the body step by step, process by process. I am a nerd for these things. And not only that, every single piece of science that I've ever consumed, I've applied to myself and the thousands of clients that I've transformed today. I am lucky to be able to have the grace of my beautiful client Sandra actually share her journey and the exact steps that we did with her to be able to achieve this amazing transformation that Sandra was able to do. But again, I've also managed to do this myself multiple times, going through multiple transformations. In my first one, it took me as long as 7 months, and now it takes me as short as 90 days. So the information I'm going to share with you will allow you to go from being average or good to great, so you can be able to do this as quickly as possible, so that you can be healthier, so that you can have the confidence you need in yourself, and also so that you can be with your family for many decades to come. So I'm going to show you how we did this with Sandra in 5 simple steps. Let's kick it off.
Hey, I'm Sandra. I joined Sculpt by Science over a year ago. I joined Sculpt by Science because I wasn't happy with the way my body was. I was, I was very active. I was going to the gym, but I knew something was off. And so I decided that I would take the plunge and contact Dr. Mike. And I'm so happy I did.
Now, Sandra in this entire journey lost 50 pounds. And as you can see, it almost looks like she reversed in age. It just looks like she has become her younger self. And that's one of the beautiful things about being able to transform your physique. Not only do you see these amazing changes externally, but it also changes you internally. To give you a few details, we started at 207 pounds, and at the end of the transformation, we came as low as 156.4 pounds with an entirety of a 50-pound loss, right? And she went from roughly 33% body fat to 16%. As you can see, we're seeing her abs in all her glory. And could we have gone lower and her get leaner? Yes, but she wanted to be healthy throughout this entire period. She did not lose her cycle, and it was very enjoyable for Sandra. Of course, it was not easy, but it was very simple and, in my opinion, very genius.
Having that much weight was limiting me. It was just kind of more like a struggle than anything.
I also know when we started Sandra, some challenges that we were having was understanding the menstrual cycle and how your body would actually change over that time, right? With,
Yep.
water retention. So let's talk about the menstrual cycle. In short, menstrual in Latin means month. It's a 28-day cycle. It can range. It can be longer in certain women and it can be shorter. But on average, in the medical books, we write 28. And it's a sequence of events that prepares the body for the possibility of pregnancy, right? For the ability to conceive one day. Each and every single woman is very different, but in general, this is the scope that they'll go through. We have menstruation. We have the follicular phase as the first half, and the second half is the luteal phase. And in the middle of these two phases, we have ovulation. And it can be visualized this way. The first day you start bleeding, think of that as day 1. And this first half is usually 14 days. It can be shorter by a few days, it can be longer. And the second half is the luteal phase. And these two phases are very important to understand. And we have ovulation, where the egg is released on day 14. And this is a depiction of the hormones that are changing over these times. And this is why it's so important for women to understand. Now, that graph I just showed you is simply illustrated here. We have the solid line being estrogen and the dotted line being progesterone. We have a peak in estrogen right before ovulation, and it comes down a little bit, and then we have another peak mid-luteal phase, right? So we have one in the late first half and we have one in the early second half. Think of, for estrogen, you have 2 mountain peaks, and this will allow you to remember how to be able to control your ability to lose fat through this entire process. And again, the main 2 hormones we're going to focus on in this video, in its simplicity and describing Sandra's entire transformation, will be through these 2 hormones, estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen levels are low through menstruation, right in the beginning. as you guys saw, they're low here in menstruation, and they gradually rise across the first half of the menstrual cycle, right? So as you guys see, it comes through a peak, and as your body prepares for pregnancy before falling back off to their low levels into menstruation, it helps in building the endometrial layer for women, and it aids in the maturation of the egg. The other hormone, the one that's the dotted one that you've seen, it's low throughout the entire follicular phase, and it gradually rises in the early luteal phase, peaking mid-luteal phase, and then resetting back into menstruation, right? So just to go over that, you see it's very low during the follicular phase and then rises into the mid-luteal. Now, why is this important? Now, I'm going to describe to you what estrogen does. So you see the benefits go away when estrogen is low. So just think about, okay, so the opposite is actually happening in my body when estrogen is low. It helps glucose utilization. It also improves your overall energy levels, which makes sense, right? Because you're using glucose more efficiently, and we know that if there's too much glucose hanging around in your body has to store that somewhere, and it stores it as fat. So when estrogen is high, all the carbs that you're ingesting is more readily utilized at higher estrogen levels. It improves your insulin sensitivity. What also happens is you have this reduce in desire for fatty and sugary foods, and it helps maintain a balanced diet. So you follow your diet a lot better during this period. You're also having less fat accumulation during this period when your estrogen levels are high, because your body's utilizing all the glucose and all the energy efficiently. In general, estrogen is fantastic for us when we want to lose weight. Another thing that it does is that it increases the production of the good cholesterol. It also lowers inflammation, and it boosts muscle growth. So the idea here is, hey, all things estrogen helps us tremendously. And as you can imagine, estrogen also does affect your hunger and your cravings. So when your estrogen is high, we have a decrease in hunger, and that's why women follow their plan so much better when their estrogen is high, because of this leptin production. Imagine when estrogen is low. So this is when women are going through menstruation, when they're bleeding, their estrogen level is the lowest. So they feel the complete opposite. Hard to stick to the diet. Energy is low, very irritable. They're probably storing more weight during this time. So how I want you to remember this. The first week, our estrogen is the lowest, right? So you're bleeding, your estrogen is the lowest, and your cravings are gonna be high. You're not gonna be burning as much fat. But in the second week onwards of your menstrual cycle, this is when things change, as we get the peak happening from that day 7 to 14. In the luteal phase, in the second half, we have lower estrogen and rising progesterone. It boosts hunger and cravings and does promote fat storage. And that's a summary. And here are all the benefits of progesterone. But again, research indicates that estrogen reduces hunger and increases leptin production. Progesterone rises, further increasing hunger and reducing insulin sensitivity, leading to mood swings and energy dips. And think of progesterone as the mischief maker, and I want you to think of estrogen as your motivating coach. The first step that allowed us to be able to lose weight with Sandra is the mindset. When she was finally able to understand these very, very fundamental things that are happening in her body, it allowed her to have a very realistic expectations of what results we're going to see, and you're going to see how that plays out in Sandra's story. Listen to what Sandra has to say.
Yeah, I looked at myself and I was like, yeah, like I want to lose the weight. Yeah.
And I said, hey, it looks like we're sticking point at 205. And although the waist measurements went down, and that's awesome, I agree that we'd like to see more movement on the scale. I usually always think in life as well, whenever things start getting a bit challenging, it usually means you're very close. And for those, whenever I make a caloric adjustment with any client, I always like doing 150. That's just our number at Sculpt by Science, because I feel like it's not aggressive. It's just exactly where it needs to be. Maybe in the beginning, I'll do a 200 calorie drop. So for any of you guys out there, you've just decided, hey, I'm going to start my diet on a week-to-week basis, I highly recommend not going above 150. I feel that number is enough to really dictate, okay, am I truly going to see progress? So I always tell women, and it's very common that my ladies, in the first 4 weeks, I tell them, hey, we may not see weight loss in the very beginning, but we're doing all the right things for us to head that way. And I think that mindset allows them to give their body grace and for them to change their body permanently. Of course, we can just slash calories and cut it down. We know that calories in versus calories out, but you never reach your final destination because you haven't given yourself enough fuel. And so this is a little mindset bit that I want to share with you guys. This is extracted from the book Atomic Habits, and it talks here about outcomes, process, and identity. Too many people, including you gentlemen, is you're too focused on the outcome. You're focused on how much money's in your account. You're focused on the weight scale. No, you need to focus on the things that will make you more money, right? So if that's working more hours, if that's doing a higher value job, and in the sense of fat loss, we need to focus on the things that will help us lose the weight on the scale. We should focus on the process, the steps, the diet, the training, all those things. So those conversations are so important, and you should have them with yourself about what type of version and identity you want to have. Not enough people talk about this on YouTube, and I think that's the missing piece with so many people is realistic expectations, giving yourself time, and thinking about more of the identity and the process that you want to go through versus I just want to, lose 50 pounds. 50 pounds came as a byproduct of all the things we did. So some practical applications on the data that I've just given you. The genius thing to do is starting in your follicular phase. Why? Because this is when the program will be the hardest and when you're the most motivated. So because you're not feeling amazing, you're also the most motivated because you're starting a new journey. So by the time you get to week 2 and 3, when your hormones and your estrogen are at optimal levels, you'll feel much happier about the process that you're seeing versus starting when your estrogen levels are high, seeing some weight loss, and then you get your period, your weight jumps back up, you're not motivated to train, and you to feel, oh wow, I'm a failure and I suck at the diet. And usually that trips up a lot of people because they're like, it doesn't work, right? Because they go through their bleeding period. So follicular phase is a good idea to start. Why? Low appetite, you're probably bloated, you're dealing with cramps, you're usually not hungry. Schedule any cheat meals or restaurant outings during the follicular phase. So maybe day 0 of the diet, do go and eat out, just knowing, hey, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to stick really closely to the diet. Now, we will speak about the exact nutrition that we followed for Sandra. And let's talk a little bit about the diet, right? So we started at 2,000 calories and we just described that. I'll chat a bit more about those results, but here we are, 208. We roughly calculated 33% body fat, and let's go through down the rabbit hole a little bit. 206 week 2, right?
Yeah.
And week 4, no weight change, right? So 4 weeks passed, Sandra, and we're working together, and you saw no weight change, right?
Yeah.
The lowest weigh-in you'd seen was like 205. Your diet adherence was up. You were getting 14K steps. You're training 4 out of the 7 times. We only lost a pound, and we were increasing cardio. What did you feel in the program? The 3 things that had the biggest impact on you?
Oh, definitely the diet plan. 100%. Just having like meal plan for like 7 days, and I can pick whichever day like I want to and be like, I'm feeling more this today, or like, I want to go this day and I like that day, I'm going to do it again because I've done that. Yeah, 100%. Like just having that and not having to think about like, what am I going to make today? It's like right there.
And we also made sure that it included all the stuff you enjoyed, so it was also easier for you to follow, right?
Yes, 100%.
Right. So in phase 1, she went from 2,000 calories to 2,300 slowly for 4 weeks, right? This is exactly when we started. And she actually went from 165 to 168. And our objective was actually to gain muscle mass. And that's the focus that I had with Sandra. I said, hey, Sandra, I want us to focus on building muscle, getting strong, getting healthy, and really focusing on the process. And really setting that expectation was very good for her. And we ended up having 1 refeed meal a week. So she would have a dinner of her choice. And you guys are hearing the stuff that she's enjoying. Tell me, Sandra, what are the 4 favorite meals you've had in this program? And that can give some inspiration to guys to maybe try and make that themselves.
Sure. I am a big fan of the French toast. I liked French toast like growing up, and I don't know why I never like really had it in like my later years. And then I think I was like on a group call, and one of the guys was just like making his French toast, and I was like, that'd actually be really cool. So yeah, French toast. I definitely love like the beef tacos. Yeah, like hands down, I enjoy that meal. One of a more recent meal that like we have is like a steak potatoes, and it was corn. We switched it to butternut squash because I wasn't able to find corn.
Yeah.
I'm able to find it again, so I kind of subbed it out. But yeah, like I like doing that. I have a smoker, so I just like throw the steak on the smoker, and it's a really good meal. Yeah, it's like one of my favorite.
Let's not get started again on the smoker. I know
I know.
this late.
Yeah.
And this is where we started, right? Sandra started with us at 208 pounds at 33% body fat, and week 2, 206 pounds, right? So we've dropped about 2 pounds, and she's eating more food than she ever has, which is very, very common with our clients. For gentlemen as well, a lot of the people who want to work with us, we see a trend that most people are severely under eating because they're very motivated to lose weight, which I understand. But this is the stuff that I do with my clients just to ramp up their metabolism. So the time we spend together is very productive. And we focused on the training. We focused on the walking here. We focused on preparing the foods, tracking, all the very important things necessary. Into week 3, no weight change. And usually people are super discouraged. Why was that we were like doing so many things, but there was just no weight change in the first 4 to 5 weeks?
It didn't want to go. It was being stubborn.
Yeah. Have you noticed with all our ladies in the group that actually happens to them too?
Yeah, which is insane.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, I haven't seen anything, like, and it's been like 5 weeks.
And that's like the magic number, 5 weeks, and then you start seeing progress.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great moment to share with the audience. So Sandra joined the program 4 to 5 weeks and no change despite some adjustments we're making. And there's a few factors that's very different with women compared to men that takes them long to really see a weight change. Now, the first thing is typically all us guys are like, get a protein shake and drink protein. Like we all have this, like if we think back to cavemen, all we're doing is just eating meat, right?
Yeah.
So I've noticed that it is actually a bigger jump for women when they start intaking more protein, right? It is a bigger jump. So males may go from, let's say they're supposed to have a target of 200 protein per day, but they'll usually be around the 150, right? That's what they're eating naturally. As an example, women actually tend to be off by 50%. If they are supposed to eat 200, they're probably eating 100, just naturally by the quantity of food that they normally eat. By the way, before I continue, if you guys want more of this content where I'm actually showing how we apply the science with each client that we've worked with, leave the video with a like. All that helps is to share the video with other people so that they can get into better shape. That's all I ask. And let me know in the comments if there was anything that you took away from this. Do you agree with the stuff I said? Have you done differently? Or it's up to you if you have done this and it's worked for you. So someone else can say, you know what, I'm seeing multiple people in the comments saying this stuff works. And that will inspire them. So do your part. Let's continue. And what's genius about this process is that I was able to give Sandra more food and being at the same weight. That is a massive, massive win, because what it essentially does is that it gives us so much more runway to take off. Whenever you hear about dieting, you're always like caloric deficit, and I don't even want to go on Instagram because it's so many people just saying the same thing. And I want to say to you, you are unique and individual. It doesn't mean that's what you should do. So what we did was actually start at higher calories, and we went from 2,000 calories to 2,300. She became stronger. She was burning more calories. Now, we didn't get the dopamine hits of not seeing any weight fluctuation, but we were seeing changes, right? Her waist was coming down. She was feeling stronger. Here's like direct proof, right? Lowest weigh-in from week, right? 205.2 pounds. So that did give Sandra some hope, I know, in the beginning, because she was eating more food than she ever had and she was losing weight. Also, what's very common with people, they'll start a diet, but it's so hard for them to follow. They're not really adherent. They're not really following it. They're eating they're eating the partner snack here. They're having a little bit of a cheat meal every weekend and they're thinking about, oh, I can't wait to get off the diet. So what's the point if you're adhering 7 out of 10? So getting her to a 9 out of 10 adherence adherence was massive for us. And we also made her so much more active. She was walking 14,000 steps every day. And here's her weigh-ins. Like, look at that. She had this printed out and she was tracking her weight. And here's 207, 208, 207. And here, 3 weeks later, we're at 205. And she was training 4 times per week, right? And she did lose 1 to 2 pounds, nothing life-changing. But what was genius again was that we really set her up for success. And that's what I want you guys to do. I recommend for males, if you've been trying, nothing worked, eat at maintenance for 4 weeks and then slightly decrease your calories. So we started allocating a bit more cardio to make her more productive. She was like, hey, Mike, I feel great. And her weight moved as a result. So do you guys see how meticulous we are with our process? We're thinking of all the different factors. And on week 4, I told Sandra this. My feedback: amazing job with steps this week. Do you get 14K in easy, or is it challenging? I need to figure out, like, hey, does this work? Not everyone can do 14K, and usually if they can't, I always play around with the diet. Diet adherence is almost perfect in 9 out of 10, although, of course, there's always some room for improvement. It looks like we're at a sticking point at 205, and although the waist measurement went down, and that's awesome, I agree that we'd like to see the weight move more on the scale. So I will be making an adjustment to your calories and drop them by 150. By the way, you can remove veggies from salads according to your liking. As you guys saw in the interview, Sandra was over the veggies. But I wanted her to just feel more productive. And we got her calories from 2,300 in the beginning, right? That's where as high as we got it in the first 4 weeks. And we dropped it to 2,150. And week 9, right? This is week 4. Week 9, boom, 200 pounds. This is where the party starts. Week 10, below 200. And now it's like starting to move nicely. Week 14, new low, 193. Like, how are you feeling at this point?
I was feeling a lot better. Definitely. Like, things are starting to get like a little easier. And it's kind of funny, like, so as we started, getting more and more weight off, my parents had come for a visit, and I guess I still had some like old clothes in my folks' place, and my mom brought them. And when they first brought them, this was like November, the year like before, so before I started Sculpt by Science. And I remember, like, I liked this shirt and I tried it on and I couldn't get it on, and I was like, I said to my husband, I looked at him, I'm like, I'm never gonna be able to fit into this shirt. And lo and behold, like, I joined you, started like seeing progress, and I was like, I think it was like maybe like May or June, and I was like, I was looking at this shirt and I was like, I'm gonna try this shirt on. And I was like amazed. I was able to actually fit in it. That was like, I was so happy.
It is massive when you can fit into a piece of clothing that you're just like physically, imagine you're putting on something and physically it's just not fitting your body. And then it is the moment for most people when you can actually really tell the change. Like, that moment is when you're like, oh, I see it now. Because when you're losing weight, you don't see it in the mirror, right? You can't tell, oh, I lost a little bit on my lower back or in my legs. I see. Maybe you might notice it, but because you're looking at your body every day or you're in your body, it's so hard to notice. But putting on a pair of jeans or a shirt is literally that wow moment. It's that transformation happening at that time. I wish we documented it somehow, but I definitely know that feeling. This wouldn't have happened if we weren't smart about it in the beginning and getting her metabolism to really ramp up. I should like call it something sexy so I get credit for this, but not enough coaches do this. And again, we reduced her calories by another 100 from 2150 to 250 in week 6 to 8, 199. And week 14, a new low, 193.2. In 4 months, she got as low as 1850 calories. And to a lot of women, that's a lot of food. And that's the benefit of what we were doing. She didn't lose her cycle. She was enjoying the process and it felt normal. And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. You watch 10-15 minute YouTube videos, but it's more about thinking of the little details, and we save all our clients this time of thinking. We just tell them what to do, right? And by week 16 at 1850, there was no weight change. And that will happen, guys. You will sometimes have a week of no weight loss. So don't be too jumpy with reducing your calories then. We get to week 20 and we drop her calories another 100 by week 20 to 1750. We increase her step count and now she's at 185, right? Picture that. 4 weeks she was losing no weight. 15 weeks later, she's down almost 15 pounds, right? And we went further. She kept her diet adherence steady because she focused on her process. And we're down 21 pounds at this point. And again, I dropped calories by another 200. And she was very motivated at this time. She was walking with her dog and we got her calories to 1550, right? Week 25, 180 pounds. We made no changes. And that's the amazing thing, is that we don't want to be changing calories too often. I love being able to get my clients to lose weight the right way, the genius way, while eating all the foods they enjoy. 175 at week 30, 170 week 34. And then we get into phase 3 because she's now dropped a considerable amount of weight, and you only want to be in a caloric deficit for so long because your body thinks that you're in a starvation mode. Ideally, what I love doing is taking a diet break, and a diet break doesn't mean like go and eat everything you want, but being able to go back to eating at your maintenance calories just so that you can give your mental self a refresh and a break, and you can give your body a break. If you can explain in your words, like, how did you feel with the diet break? So I tell you, hey, Sandra, we have a diet break right now. Like, what were your initial thoughts when you heard, okay, we're taking a diet break?
I was happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was just a horrible, horrible feeling of like I was craving foods that I never like craved. I was
Yeah.
just like, oh my gosh, like I need to go to like McDonald's and get like 3 burgers. Like it was just like the craving level was insane. I wasn't, yeah, sleeping well. My performance in the gym, like it was really difficult to like finish my workouts. So yeah, it wasn't a fun time. But then yeah, you had mentioned let's like do a diet break, and so we introduced more calories. I believe it was like 500 calories. Yeah, I immediately felt way better, and I actually was losing weight still.
Yeah.
You know, like I was like, oh wow, I'm eating more food and like,
The
I'm
weight's
losing
coming
more
off.
weight. This is awesome. Let's go.
Yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
that's the little trick that we like to do, and then seeing that happen is like the best, because it's just so counterintuitive to what people think, right? You need to keep cutting calories to see more weight loss. Just for those, I think, out there watching this video, if you're dieting and you just notice your food focus is significantly higher. I know for me personally, if I wake up thinking of a burger and fries, like if that happens, then I know like, okay, we might be getting closer to that. I'm noticing that I'm unmotivated to go to the gym. My lifts are weaker.
Yep.
Steps feels like a drag. And I know like when my legs start feeling heavy, those are usually indications of, and prolonged dieting, that's a usual indication that a diet break would do you a lot of benefit. It's almost where you need to start listening to your body, and this is our job as coaches, right, to listen to you and see, okay, awesome, I think this is a good time. But I'll talk about a diet break and what we did there. So I added 500 calories to her 1550 and took her up to 2050. That was phase 3. So phase 1 was the 4 weeks where we did a body recomposition. Phase 2 is when we went through a cut. And then phase 3 is when we went into more so of a lean bulk phase. And I want you guys to pay attention here. We don't do anything crazy where she gets to eat junk food all the time. She eats all the food she loves, but we add in calories slowly. Week 38, and you're gonna notice Sandra actually hangs around in the 160s for a couple of weeks. Week 38, 166. Week 43, 164. But she's looking leaner. Why? Because she's building muscle. And this is the beautiful thing. So we decided with Sandra that she had dropped significant amount of weight, right? We're now at 166.4, and we'd made the decision to now focus on building muscle, getting stronger. What a great decision that was overall. Sandra's body changed significantly, right?
Yeah.
Looking strong. And we kept on increasing calories just by 100. People make a big mistake of thinking, hey, you need to eat a lot of calories to add on muscle. But the advice I could give to anybody is use the same mindset you do when you're cutting and slowly just increase your calories by 100. So let's say you're cutting and you're at 1500 and you want to now get out. We usually will make a 500 increase in the beginning, right? Just to relieve some of those symptoms of being in a deficit and giving you that extra energy. And
Yeah.
then depending on how your weight increases and how much your weight fluctuates, we will raise calories every week or bi-weekly by 100. Week 50, 164, right? And her weight was stagnant during this point. We're not expecting to see muscle gain all the time or fat loss all the time. And I want you guys to know that I at least like giving myself and giving my clients 10 to 14 days before making a change. And if there's no changes, then I get aggressive. And again, it will change from person to person. We're January 2024, so you can tell it's been a few weeks and we're in the 160s. And this is what you should expect in a muscle building phase. But as you guys can see, look at Sandra's belly, changes are happening. We're seeing leaner and leaner pictures. And I want to give Sandra so much credit. Such a powerful and strong woman. And the ladies we work with all feel this way. We get a lot of people who want to work with us, and we just hear it. It's like, hey, you're not prepared right now. You're not in the time. Maybe you're transitioning in your work. Maybe stress is really high at work. Maybe you're planning to travel in a month. Calorie increase in muscle gaining and lean bulking in this phase. So I gave her a little bit more food and I tried to see, okay, how high could I get her calories before I started seeing the weight climb up? And that 100 calories actually took her to 167. February, this is how we're looking. March, gaining a little bit here. And then in April, we start cutting again. And this is, look at 163 pounds. 159, and we can see we're wearing some new pants. Your abs are starting to show in all its glory. 157, and July, the current weight, finally we hit 155.4. Sandra, like going through this is incredible. And you know, if we just go back, just a quick one is so cool. If we kind of fast forward, this is the starting physique that we had, 208, 33% body fat, and coming all the way here to the end, 50 pounds lighter, almost a new human being, a new being in a new look. And before I move on into the next step, I just want to shout out my company, Sculpt by Science. And for those who potentially want to see a transformation just like Sandra's and wants to change your life, these are the clients we work with, right? So if this sounds like you're not feeling healthy, the way you look and feel is impacting the behaviors you have on a day-to-day. You're self-conscious, you don't like the way you feel in their business, at work, and with their family. You want to be able to take your shirt off at the pool when you're there with your family and friends at your kid's birthday. We fix all of these things, right? Yes, weight loss and being able to lose fat and look amazing is a byproduct of what we do. We help the clients who've tried all these things in the past. So if this is you, you've tried all these things before. Try the medication, you've tried Weight Watchers, low carb, paleo, keto, you've tried the Ozempics or any of the medications that are out there. All our clients have tried these things before. They've tried it before first and then came to us. Who are we? We're a team of medical professionals. I consider us Medicine 3.0. We are personalized. It is custom. It is also premium. We look at everything. You will be shocked at how much detail we're looking at to be able to optimize how your body's functioning on a day-to-day basis, to be able to take you from good to great. And this is my team. You would work with myself, Dr. Zeno, Dr. Lou, Dr. Pine, and Coach Max, all medical professionals. Believe it or not, all these people here in this photo are much better than me. And these are usually the clients that work with us. Most of our clients are business owners, they're executives, they're doctors, they're in IT, working for Apple or Microsoft, or they have an IT company. And this is also their age range. Why I'm sharing this with you is I want to be able to save our team's time. We're a very small team, and you would be speaking to one of us, including my wife. She is the Chief Operating Officer. These are the clients that actually accept to work with us when we make an offer to them. So if you do not fall in these categories, do not apply. You can just watch the content and the free 700 videos I have on here and get amazing results. So do not apply if you don't fall in the categories that I've listed below. If you're not ready to start right now, you have a holiday coming up, you're going somewhere in a week or two or in a month or two, don't apply. Let's not waste each other's time. If you don't fall in any of those categories, I highly recommend you apply. I welcome you. I'm excited for your journey, and I'm excited to be with you step by step, shoulder to shoulder, getting you into the shape of your life. You can click the link in the description of this video. Let's continue. Next portion, training and cardio. So you mentioned the diet was a big thing. Any other two things you feel like had the biggest impact on you in this program? And it can be anything.
Yeah, so we did start out with like 4 days of training, and then I don't remember the specific time, but we changed it to 5
Hmm.
because I wanted to try and grow some size on like my arms. Yeah, we've just kind of been like sticking with like 5 days, and I think that's helped a lot with like muscle growth.
I am just going to show you exactly the training plan that I built for Sandra, and you can literally copy this. This is day 1, right? And this is day 2, and you guys can just take screenshots on your phone. This is day 3 of what we did with Sandra. This is day 4, and this is day 5. As you guys can see, we have the workout exercise. So it goes incline, dumbbell, bench, dumbbell flies. And again, over the year that we worked with Sandra, her plan changed tremendously. So we went from 4 sessions to 5. I am sure that if you guys don't have any training plan, you can follow this one, and this is more advanced, right? You can see the rep ranges. So it says here, for example, a cable lateral raises 12, 12, 12. That means 3 sets of 12 at a normal set. And you'll see sometimes we have some specialized techniques here that we have for Sandra. You can just be able to Google that to see how to do it. And in terms of cardio, what we did was mainly focus on steps. And here we have Sandra talking more about the cardio. And to show everyone, right, just to give everyone a bit more context, if you guys can see, right, here we have in your graph the 3rd, that's March 3rd, 2023, right? 209, 208,
Yeah.
207, 207. And you guys can see as the weeks go by, she's at 205. And here we have like a more recent one, right? You are tracking every day, like there's no blank space in your calendar here, right?
No.
At 157, which is super cool, right? Super cool to see. And yeah, here's your step counter where you're crushing it now with like 20,000 steps in a range. And I think this is good for people to see. You
Yeah.
don't have to start off and get 20,000, but do you find 20,000 at the moment challenging to hit?
Not really anymore. No.
Yeah.
The only times I would say that it would be challenging is like when my calories got really low
Yeah.
and your body's just like, I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
Those are the times that like, yeah, it was more difficult to get up there, but I pushed myself.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
And here is the only supplements we used with Sandra. So
Yeah.
I strongly feel that in the first 4 weeks, we were building muscle tissue for 2 main reasons. Number 1, your protein intake doubled easily.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the likelihood that you're building more muscle with double the protein intake is very high. Coupling that with a good resistance training program, finally, you're putting your body in a favorable position to train and then to actually add muscle tissue on your frame. And
Yeah.
what can happen in that time is that you may be losing, for example, half a pound of fat in a week and adding half a pound of muscle. And to go through that seesaw and not seeing a change on the weight scale, but a change in composition, especially in the beginning when
Yeah.
you're, acclimating to the program.
The introduction of creatine.
Mm.
I'd never taken creatine before, and so I think that's also helped with like gaining muscle.
Beautiful. And you got stronger tremendously over the period that we'd been working together, like especially
Yes.
leg-wise, as being an incredible change. And then finally, what are the tools that we used for tracking? And I think that's a great segue into like, what are the tools we used, right? If you can kind of say to everybody, hey guys, I started my plan. These are the tools that I used. So we had a Fitbit for steps. What
Yep.
else can you think are the stuff you're using every day that helped you drop 50 pounds? So Fitbit, number 1. What was
Yeah.
this? If you can name them and list the stuff that you used every day as a tool to be able to track your progress or that helped you to reach that 50-pound loss.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely Fitbit. I weighed myself every day, and then like wrote it down, so that we could kind of eventually see like how my body was reacting, and we can pinpoint like certain things in the graph. Food scale.
Hmm.
A good food scale is very important.
You did that with all the
I-
meals? You weighed all the foods that you ate?
I weigh all my foods.
Everything.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing gets overlooked there. Like
There we go.
whatever's in my plan, like I follow it to like a T.
There we go. There we go.
So like I have a home gym. Colder months like winter and stuff, it's really hard to get outside, so I was walking on the treadmill more. Later on, invested in under like desk treadmill. which I have in my living room.
And any
Yeah.
other tools you feel you use? So a quick recap was food and weight scale, Fitbit,
Yeah.
you have the home gym, under the desk treadmill, any other, you use the measuring tape as well, right? We were just talking
Yeah.
about that. Anything
Yeah.
else that comes to mind as a tool you used?
Nothing really else comes
Any
to
apps?
mind.
Any cool apps that you used?
No.
Cool, cool,
No. Just the Sculpt by Science app.
cool. So you
But
just do everything strictly on the Sculpt by Science app?
yeah.
Awesome. I want to say a big thank you to you, Sandra, and letting us share this story. I think it'll inspire a lot of ladies out there and people in general.
I hope so.
It will, it will, it will. I'm so sure. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that it gave you insight to really see a true case of someone's incredible 50-pound loss journey. I want to say a big thank you to Sandra. You're officially inducted to the Sculpt by Science Hall of Fame. And let me know in the comment section, guys, if you guys want more of these videos and if you want me to do more of these in-depth step-by-step processes. Leave the video a like and share with a friend. I'll see you guys in the next one.